What if I told you that one woman's romantic genius saved an empire, changed the course of Roman history, and made her the most powerful ruler of the ancient world? This is the untold story of how Cleopatra didn't just seduce two Roman emperors, she strategically conquered them. Stay until the end because what really happened between Cleopatra and Mark Antony will completely change how you see ancient politics forever. I'm your name, and today we're diving deep into one of history's most misunderstood love stories. Forget everything Hollywood taught you about Cleopatra. She wasn't just beautiful. She was a political mastermind who spoke 9 languages, was educated in mathematics and philosophy, and ruled Egypt for nearly 2 decades. But here's what's shocking. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony weren't just romances. They were carefully calculated moves in a deadly game of international politics. And by the end of this video, you'll understand how love became her weapon of choice. Picture this. It's 48 BCE. Cleopatra is just 21 years old and she's fighting her own brother for the throne of Egypt. The Roman Republic is expanding, swallowing kingdoms left and right. Egypt, despite being incredibly wealthy, is hanging by a thread. Now here's where most rulers would panic. But Cleopatra? She saw an opportunity. She realized that Egypt couldn't survive by fighting Rome, but it might survive by controlling Rome from within. Enter Julius Caesar. He's 52, at the height of his power, and he's just arrived in Alexandria chasing his rival Pompey. Most people see a dangerous Roman general. Cleopatra sees her ticket to survival. This is where history gets cinematic. According to ancient sources, Cleopatra had herself smuggled into Caesar's quarters wrapped in a carpet. But this wasn't just about making a dramatic entrance. It was brilliant psychology. Think about it. Caesar had seen every kind of diplomatic approach. Boring ambassadors, threatening armies, pleading letters. But a beautiful, intelligent queen literally unrolling herself at his feet? That was unforgettable. Within hours, they were lovers. Within days, they were political allies. Caesar helped her secure the Egyptian throne, and she gave him something no Roman had ever possessed: legitimacy in the East and access to Egypt's incredible wealth. We're talking about serious money here. Egypt controlled the Mediterranean grain trade. Alexandria was the New York City of the ancient world. By winning Caesar, Cleopatra had just turned her kingdom from a potential Roman province into an equal partner. But then, the unthinkable happened. March 15th, 44 BCE, the Ides of March. Julius Caesar is assassinated in the Roman Senate. In just one day, Cleopatra loses her protector, her lover, and honestly her political safety net. Rome explodes into civil war. 3 men emerge to fight for control: Octavian, Lepidus, and Mark Antony. For most rulers, this would be game over. But for Cleopatra, it was time for round 2. She sets her sights on Mark Antony, Caesar's lieutenant, controller of the Eastern Roman territories, and, well, a man with expensive tastes and massive debts. If the Caesar seduction was brilliant, what Cleopatra did with Mark Antony was a masterpiece. In 41 BCE, Antony summons her to meet him in Turkey. She could have shown up like any other client ruler, humble and submissive. Instead, she arrives on a golden barge dressed as the goddess Venus, with silver oars and purple sails perfumed with incense. The entire riverbank crowds to see this floating palace. But here's the genius part. She doesn't just dazzle him with wealth. She shows him a vision of what they could build together. An empire that combines Roman military might with Egyptian resources and Eastern luxury. Antony was drowning in debt from his military campaigns. Cleopatra offered him unlimited funding. He needed legitimacy in the East. She provided cultural credibility that no Roman could match. This wasn't just romance. This was a merger of superpowers. For over a decade, the Antony-Cleopatra alliance dominates the Eastern Mediterranean. They have children together, combine their armies, and essentially create a rival power center to Rome itself. But Octavian, Caesar's heir, isn't going to let this slide. He declares war, not just on Antony, but on Cleopatra herself. The propaganda war is vicious. He paints her as a foreign witch who's corrupted a Roman general. Everything comes down to the naval battle of Actium in 31 BCE. It's not just a military confrontation, it's a clash between 2 visions of what Rome should become. Now, most people know how this story ends. Antony and Cleopatra lose at Actium and eventually commit suicide. Octavian becomes Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Case closed, right? Wrong. Here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about Cleopatra's strategy. She didn't just buy Egypt 2 extra decades of independence. She fundamentally changed Rome forever. The wealth, art, architecture, and Eastern customs that flowed into Rome through her relationships literally transformed Roman culture. Augustus himself, despite defeating her, adopted many Egyptian symbols of power. The Rome that emerged from these relationships wasn't the same republic that had first encountered Cleopatra. It was an empire shaped by her vision of international luxury and divine rulership. So the next time someone tells you Cleopatra was just a beautiful woman who seduced powerful men, remind them of this. She was a polyglot scholar who used romantic diplomacy to preserve her kingdom for 2 decades against the greatest military power in history. She turned love into statecraft, attraction into alliance, and personal relationships into international policy. In a world where women had almost no political power, she became the most influential ruler of her age. What do you think? Was Cleopatra history's greatest strategic genius, or just lucky in love? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want more untold stories from ancient history, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Next week, we're diving into another royal scandal that changed the world, so don't miss it.